Welcome to Governor TV.
Ebusiafo Governor TV sunie. Unsubscribe ya subscribe sisi ya na share my kama na bibi anso ekoso. Yeba be show exclusive videos from thank you to from Dr. Bawumia and the NPP. Ewo wa and the exclusively videos like we see NPP from penny for ho and come on no mudi and also no mudi nyina no. Exclusive videos ye the bro. Ewo Governor TV so timi shawa subscribe sisi ya na mi abia no so kama na share na amobia hu former flag bearer edema the new patriotic party NPP and a former vice president Dr. Bawumia Asia NPP for wow na Asia grassroots for Asia constituency for Asia penny for eno no mudi nkomo se ene party no omunka muhumbom na watimi wakame uyu waya ekoso party ni mu no ene omohwe ni mu se obudi ni nyina beto omachi na bibia so etima konka se ne nkuguo no abadeda sisi no ya so motivating ase na omo strategize no fa kwan a 2028 omitima power no enso etima free NDC for nsem ti enche bia no with the videos no any honsem nyina nsem kan ni ade nyina before kasa no ya de honsem beba enti video no eba sisi a subscribe am
Never expected what happened. It was a big shock to all of us. How could we lose so much in seats and votes as had happened? When you take a look at the 2024 results, a very, very interesting pattern emerges. You will see that our loss was more to do with us in the NPP than the NDC. The NDC, John Mohammed's votes, and the NDC parliamentary votes did not change much from 2020. The same votes that John Mohammed got in 2020 was just the same that he got in 2024, about 100,000 votes more. So the NDC votes was flat. The problem came with the NPP votes. When you look at the results, 2.1 million people who voted for us in 2020 didn't turn up to vote at all in 2024. They stayed at home. 2.1 million. That is massive. If you look at the results, John Mahama won with 1.7 million votes. 1.7 million. So if, by simple mathematics, if our 2.1 million people turned up to vote for us, we would have won the election simply. We would have won the election simply. So this is why I say that the NDC did not win that election in 24. NPP lost that election. We gave that election to the NDC. They did not win it. If our people had come out to vote, we would have won. So this was a big shock, as I said. We were all confused. Why did our people stay away in such high numbers? 2.1 million people. It had never happened before in our electoral history. Never happened before. And when you look at it, the bulk of the people, in fact 84% of the people who didn't come out to vote came from our strongholds. That is where the problem came. In Greater Accra region, 571,000 people refused to vote. In Ashanti region, 429,000 refused to vote. In Eastern region, 258,000 did not vote. In Central region, 231,000 did not vote. In Western region, 164,000 did not vote. Bono region, 100,000 did not vote. These 6 regions alone accounted for 84% of the people who did not vote. And what was interesting in this pattern that emerged is that virtually every region saw a decline in votes. Virtually every region. We had 16 regions. In 15 out of the 16 regions, NPP votes went down. In 15 out of the 16 regions. It was only one region where our votes went up, and that is the Northeast region. That is the region that I come from. That's the only region in Ghana where NPP votes went up. In every other region, our votes went down. And what you see across is that the pattern was in every constituency, from Axim all the way to Zebela, the same behavior. People were not voting. I said that it looks like they had a meeting and decided that they are just going to wait till the voting day and they will not come out. Because we did not know. If they had invited us to the meeting, we would have begged them to come out and vote. But they didn't invite us to this meeting. They didn't invite us. So this was the outcome of the election. That the majority of the people who did not vote came from these 6 strongholds of the NPP. So the question that came to mind for everybody, obviously, is why? Why did this happen? Why all of a sudden did our people not vote? And so when we started, before, of course, the Okwe committee came, everybody had their own reason for why people did not vote. And most of these explanations were not backed by data or evidence. So our own General Secretary, when he was asked, he said, as for this, it's a spiritual matter. So the spirits were responsible for what happened across the country. So I told him, General Secretary, if I ask you for the spiritual evidence, I don't think you can provide it. So that is a difficult explanation. But I agree that in everything that happens on this earth, God's hands are in it. That I believe. Everything that happens on this earth, God's hands are in it. So I believe that it is the will of God. And I believe that if we pray hard and work hard in 2028, God will open the doors for us to come back into office. The second main explanation that we heard for what had happened, and it is also one of these explanations that requires a lot of attention, because people were saying that the reason why we lost was because many of the Christians in our strongholds refused to vote for the party because we had a Muslim presidential candidate. Didn't you hear this? Didn't you hear this? So when they said this, I said, this does not make sense. Because this, our party, when we went for primaries, we were 10 of us. 9 of us were Akan and Christian. Only one was Muslim and Northern. But the party, being a party of unity, decided to vote for me, the Muslim Northerner, to lead the party for 2024 election. So why will they then turn around and suddenly say, we won't vote for you to become president? But because this was a very important and potentially dangerous explanation, I decided to do the research. I decided to look at the data myself. I'm a researcher. And so I wanted to see if in fact there was any truth to that matter, even though I didn't believe it. When I looked at the data for every constituency, all the 276 constituencies, I in fact found out that it was not true. The NPP presented 236 parliamentary candidates who were Christian. 236 out of the 276. 236 parliamentary candidates were Christian. 40 were Muslim. If people are voting according to religion, then it means that in each of the constituencies where we presented a Christian candidate in our strongholds, the parliamentary candidate must get more votes than the presidential candidate, isn't it? That is it. So when I looked at the data, I found out that in many of the regions, in fact, I was getting more votes than the parliamentary candidate. So it couldn't have been religion. Our strongest hold is Ashanti. And when you look at Ashanti and you look at some of the constituencies, that I was getting more votes than the parliamentary candidates. Efigia Secretary East, Asante Akim Central, Asante Akim North, Ekiman Wiabigia, Bekwai, Kwadaso, Bampong, Manshia North, Manshia South, Mansu Edibia, Mansum Kwanta, Nshaeso, Nsuta Kwamambi Poso, Obuasi East, Obuasi West, Ofinsu South, Secretary Afram Place, all of these constituencies, I was getting more votes.